Good to go. All right, stream health could be better, but this is doable. We'll go with this. All right, guys and gals, welcome to the what's today? March 28th, 2019 weekend fishing forecast. It's going down a little bit late here at 9 p.m. because I drove in from Tennessee today. All right, went to Lake Chickamauga, went and caught some beautiful bass. That place is gorgeous. Learned a lot. Okay, with electronics, with bass fishing, everything. But we are back here in Louisiana, and it's time for some speckled trout and redfish. So let's take a look at the current conditions, predicted conditions, fishing reports, etc. And I'll give you my breakdown on how it is. I will go catch speckled trout and redfish this weekend, which I don't think I will be going. I think I'll be doing boat maintenance because I had a few things break. All right, so let me boop 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 boop. Let me pull this up. Let's see here. All right. Now I'm using the Shell Beach buoy, and let me change. Yep, there we go, guys. I'm using the Shell Beach buoy at the bottom of Lake Bourne, which is. Let me scroll out here. Come on, computer. We need you to kind of keep up here. Alrighty. It's right down there at the bottom of Lake Bourne here in southeast Louisiana. You can look up your own buoy that's closest to where you are. Anyway, I went ahead and pulled up water levels over the. Oop, that's not it. Here it is, right here. Water level since the 25th, 24th, which is when I left Louisiana. So I like to look at this and kind of figure out what happened. And this is good to look at and monitor because it kind of really helps you learn more about the marsh without having to go fishing. So this way you maximize your time on water. Very important. Anyway, the blue line is the predicted water level and the red line is what actually happened. And you can see that there are sometimes that the tide was in fact rising when it was supposed to be falling, and it was falling when it was supposed to be rising. And if you haven't seen Mastering the Tide inside LAFB Elite, you need to see it because it breaks all this down in detail. How to always find moving water. You can't go off tide tables alone, guys. But that's enough of my rant. I'm predicting this data by looking at where that blue line is and where that red line is. And generally speaking, when that red line is well above the blue line, like what you see here, that is that indicates that the water is going to be fairly clean. Because I'm telling you, there is always clean water somewhere in the marsh. Let's rewind that. Listen closely, okay? Because you're always going to have that one guy posting inside LFB Inshore like, is there clean water out there? Yes, there's clean water. There is always clean water in the marsh. For you to go see redfish, for you to have happy speckled trout, all those things. Okay, and we'll get more into that. So, red line above blue line. Good. All right, now I like to look at the wind since I left on Sunday, and I can tell, okay, we got hit by cold front in Tennessee. It looks like y'all got hit by cold front too, but it didn't really do anything to water levels. Nothing crazy because we can see exactly what happened there. So it was kind of a weak cold front. At least it was in Tennessee anyways. There's air temperature. Air temperature didn't drop a whole lot. Well, shoot, it didn't drop hardly at all over here. Wow. Anyway, let's go back over to the main page here for the Shell Beach buoy and look at that water temperature. Wow. Okay, 70 degrees. Interesting. Let me look at something. I want to see what that water temperature has done since I've been gone. So we will go to our little options panel here, change that time zone to LST, means local standard time, hit plot, and it was like high 60s, mid 60s, and rose to high 60s, dipped down a little bit probably with that cold front, boom, they came right back up because we had those bluebird skies. All right, so we had a little bit of a cold snap and then a warming trend. So speckled trout will still be moving out. Fish are still going to be eating. All right, let's go and start looking at predicted conditions. Okay, we have an idea as to what's happened. Actually, let me look at one more thing. Let's look at Modus. I have it pulled up here already. This is a daily satellite image, and this image is from the 27th, so yesterday. All right, whoops, boop, 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 boop. Oh, wrong way. Okay, there we go. All right, guys, Mississippi River dumping river water everywhere. Wow, okay. Also dumping tons of river water here in Bonnie Carey. And if you haven't seen that force of nature, you should drive over that bridge and go look at it. It's crazy. And looks like that river water is coming out of the Pearl a little bit too, and it's gotten everywhere. Looks like the north wind kind of helped clean up the north shoreline, because all that over here in Lake Pontchartrain. I'm just pointing this out to you so you can kind of get an understanding as to what a north wind does. It can clean up water in some cases, which is what it did there. I wouldn't fish there for speckled trout or redfish. Okay. But look at all this dark stuff here. Dun dun dun. That's in Delacroix, Hopedale. And what do we see? We see clean water. Look at these dark little blotches in the Biloxi Marsh. Boom, that's clean water. Despite river water, or just people are like, oh, the river water, the river water. Well, it's way over here, guys. And guess what? When it flows out, it's going to come out this way. It isn't going to go, I'm going to come through the ground and get into Delacroix and screw everything up over here. It doesn't work like that. So, something else that, just because there is river water there does not mean that there's going to be dirty water everywhere. And I'll show you that here in a little bit on Google Earth. Because everything down here in Venice and Point LaHash is not totally gone, guys. It's not. I guarantee you there's fish down there somewhere. Anyway, going back to looking for dark water, you see all that south of the rock dam and the Mr. Go? Boom, that's clean, baby. Alright, so keep that in mind as well. Oh, and Bay Awa, look at that. Anyway, moving on. Let's go to tide and sun and rain and all that. So, here's the NOAA marine forecast for Lake Borgne over there by Shell Beach. And I just like to look at this. I like their synopsis. Onshore flow will prevail tonight through Saturday. A cold front will move slowly off the coast Sunday morning, becoming stationary across the North Gulf Monday morning. An upper level disturbance moves along the frontal zone Monday with high pressure building into the North Gulf Tuesday. Okay, so that tells me Sunday's a wash. But and you can look at their forecast. But that's a forecast for a 24-hour period. I like Windfinder. And watch, someone in the comments is going to be like, what app is that? Kai, Windfinder. There you go. All right. Friday, tomorrow. All right, so, man, you're going to have, wind's going to be blowing a little bit out of the south. Okay, and that makes water rise. So you'll have a falling tide till 9:40. All right, and then a rising tide till 8:16. With a tide range of 0 to 1.3, so that's a rising tide over 1 foot. That I like a falling tide. Well, I just need moving water, to be honest with you. But if you like a falling tide, understand that this south wind being that strong can maybe not cancel this one out because it's so strong, but slow it down, make it a little bit weaker. So just keep that in mind, and you should look up the tide for your area. Because it's not the same everywhere. Saturday, we also have strong south winds, and a lot more sun. So that's good for sight fishing. It's good to have a little bit of wind because it can push your boat across the pond. Sunday, just don't go fishing Sunday. All right, work on your boat. Change out, pack your trailer bearings with grease, service your trolling motor, look for corroded wires, things like that are going to screw your fishing trip. Things like that are going to screw your fishing trip when the fishing is really, really, really good. But how good is the fishing? Well, let's read some fishing reports. Look at this. Boop. All right, so I got two pulled up right here. Here's this one from Gary that was just recently posted today. He says, Delacroix 2 days ago. Fish, they, meaning fish I presume, were hitting hard and fast. On dead or live shrimp, under corks, about 18 inches. He said fine grass and fish at the edge. Water can be clear or muddy, didn't matter. I believe that totally, absolutely. One place the wife and I must have caught 50 reds, 14 to 15 inches. Darn. As soon as cork hit, water just kept going. Kind of bad when you're using live shrimp, but changed to dead, and they kept hitting. Good luck in tight lines. Thank you, Gary. Awesome fishing report. So yeah, he caught a bunch of throwbacks, but they'll grow in a little bit and we'll be able to catch them. So that's good news. Here's one from Scott the Iceman. He fished Jellicoe this morning. That's today, because he posted this report 8 hours ago. And he ended up with a decent box of trout. What exactly that means is this right here, and that is a decent box of trout. I don't know how many that is. I don't think that it matters. That's a nice box. So guys, all I need to know, and there's more reports, so go to LAFB and read them, okay? But what this tells me is that there are plenty of fish to be caught. You just got to go out there and catch them. So I'm looking at my list here, and based upon the next step in this is going over what I would do to catch fish. Okay. Now guys, I'm going to tell you that there's two things I'm factoring in here. There's short-term success and there's long-term success. And me, I am much more concerned with that long-term success. If you're just looking to go get your rod bent this weekend without thinking about next weekend, you're setting yourself up for long-term failure. All right? No one's going to think you're a bigger man because you caught a limit of redfish or speckled trout or whatever. In fact, it's okay to not catch some fish because you spent that time looking in new water. All right? And when you're scouting new areas, I have to say 90% of the battle is discovering where the fish are, and that means you're going to spend a lot of time discovering where they are not. All right, so with that said, I'm going to tell you what it is that I would do this weekend, keeping that short-term and long-term success in mind, meaning let's catch some fish, but let's also invest in what's coming, because we have this river water we got to deal with. We have all these other things we got to deal with. All right, so let's jump into this. All right. Pull up Google Earth here. So, and what I'm showing you guys here, I'm going to tell you right now, it applies to all of Louisiana. Okay, so just because I'm showing you ponds in the Biloxi Marsh doesn't mean you're totally screwed in Delacroix, or you're totally screwed in Big Lake, or you just, this isn't going to help you at all in Lafitte or Grand Isle. It's pretty much the same. Okay. What matters is taking the principle, the pattern, the trend, and applying it. So pay close attention to that, please. Anyways, so remember where we saw on Modus, which is pulling up these. Let me zoom in here. Boop, 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 boop. Here's the Biloxi Marsh. These dark splotches. That's Stump Lagoon. That's like Muscle Bay. Meaning those dark splotches are this body of water and this body of water, and there's more. Okay, these other ones are pretty dark too, but that means that they're clean. All right, now that doesn't mean you need to run over there and go fish them, but I'm saying that it's a good place to start. All right, so we know that wind's going to be blowing out of the south. All right, so what you can do, like what I would like to do, see how the shoreline kind of runs south to north. You can, or even this shoreline sort of does. All right, you can take your boat and troll this shoreline, and you can work it to catch fish. That wind will be blowing in your face a little bit, but if you're good at casting, that won't bother you. And it's better to have a wind that's going to blow you away from the shoreline, anyways. And, you know, the wind isn't that strong, anyways. Otherwise, if you catch a redfish, let's say you're on this north shoreline, and you don't power pull down or whatever. And you're trolling, you might blow into the shoreline, and then when you go to leave, you're going to throw a bunch of mud everywhere and make a big signature, and that's just not good. You might spook more fish. But here, you catch a fish, the wind blows you away while you fight him, and then you get him off the hook, you take pictures, all that stuff, and then you get back on that trolling motor, and you come back, and you pick up his buddies. That's what we want. And then you get on a shoreline like this one, and you're able to get that wind to your back. And you can just slowly drift this thing, minimally using that trolling motor, being very, very stealthy. And I would cover a lot of shoreline. Like if I hit up all this shoreline right here and didn't catch anything, I would get the hell out. I would not stay there and continue to fish it. I'd fish more shoreline. I'd fish this shoreline. I'd do this. I'd bang out all this, guys. Boom, boom, boom. I like this. Look, this shoreline right here, you can definitely get that wind to your back, and you can see. All right, and it maybe if you're staying on top of a cooler, or if you have a stand, you can sight fish these redfish even. Now, that's the Biloxi Marsh. What if you are going to fish a place that's really, really dirty? Okay, like down here, where there's all that river water. All right, and let's reiterate this. Let's scroll down. This area is completely, see this island right here, this little smudge right here, and it's kind of brighter right there. That's this island. Right, yeah, this one. Except, you fast forward in time to 2016, a lot more of it's eroded away. But that's this island right here. So, it's river water all over it right now. But does this mean that this area is completely blown away and you can't fish it? Nay. River water, let me back up here. Guys, river water is awesome. Okay. People who say it's bad are bad at fishing. River water is great. Now it changes things. You just got to be a good angler and change with it. Okay, now, river water will completely blow away speckled trout bite, duh. But it brings in other things. Something it will do is that it will grow aquatic grass like this. And this aquatic grass is like a filter, and as water passes through it, it takes all that suspended sediment in that river water and cleans it out, just like an air filter. Okay, like an air filter in an air conditioning unit. And there's a whole lot of it, and the more that there is, the more it will clean it up, and it will make that water crystal clear. In fact, the cleanest water I've ever caught redfish in was a few hundred yards away from the Mississippi River in Venice. Okay, cleaner than Florida, and I've sight fished redfish in Florida. People who don't know the awesome red fishing we have here in Louisiana are like, oh, it's dirty, you can't fish it, you just can't see, or whatever. They don't know what they're talking about. Alright, and I'm going to show you. So, I shouldn't be showing you guys this stuff. Alright, so I'm zoomed in here, and this area doesn't have a whole lot of river water in this satellite image, but you can see that it has some. But you'll see some areas are, oops. Alright, some areas are pretty dark, right? Like, look at this. Look at that. You know how clean this water is? You know how I know it's clean? Because you can see this prop scar going through the pond where it blew out that grass. That green stuff is that grass, guys, and it is cleaning that water up. And if redfish want to see, and they want to see to eat, where do you think they're going to go? You think they're going to go out in the river water? Or do you think they're going to be on the shoreline? They might be on that shoreline. All right, so there's that. There's a pocket right here. Okay, maybe you could even, I don't know how deep this is, maybe you can press up into this Trenas, maybe not. I'll tell you what that south wind, what is it going to do? It's going to make that water high, and we're going to have that big spring tide. Okay, the tide's going to be coming in all day. So later in the day, that water will be up, depending on where you are. There's some clean water. So that water will be up, and you can get your boat back in there. Look at this. Oop. I'll have to answer that in a little bit. Look at that clean water. Okay, so just because there's river water there doesn't mean the fishing is completely blown out. I will let you guys do your research and figure out the rest. Now, if as far as speckled trout go, start hitting up your normal springtime spots. I would start I'll use Hopedale Marina as an example. I'll launch at Hopedale Marina and then start fishing. Maybe even start at some of my winter spots just to be safe. Don't spend a whole lot of time there. Jump to your spring spots and then start working your way outside. And by outside, I mean all this big water out here, because that's where they're going to go to spawn. And that's pretty much all there is to that, guys. People are catching trout. We know that, but they're definitely on the move right now. I would start looking for diving birds. I would start looking for. I would target tide lines. I would have a popping cork. I would have a suspending lure like a Miradyne. I would most definitely have a jig. And I'll tell you something else real quick too. I don't know what it is with inshore anglers, but you guys love braided line, and you got to drop that. If you're going to use a jig, and especially a suspending bait, you need to use fluorocarbon or monofilament as they apply. And I can't give a class on that right now. All of that's inside LAFB Elite. But it does make the difference, because I was one of the few guys catching limits of speckled trout on artificial lures this winter. And I was using 10 and 12 pound test, monofilament, and fluorocarbon to do it. Okay. Other people came in behind me with 30-pound braid, didn't do it, because it changes how the bait moves through the water. So, If you got any questions or comments, post them up below. Head to LAFB Inshore. You can read some fishing reports there. And you can use, if I recall correctly, it is code WFF14 to get 2 days free, 2 days, 2 days free, 2 days free, 2 weeks free, 14 days free for LAFB Elite. And you can go to lafishblog.com/join to see everything that it is you get with there, because there's a lot of goodies. Tight lines, guys. Hope y'all catch them this weekend.